Great, thank you. It's great to be here, and thank you so much for having me. It's great to meet you guys. I really didn't know about like what you guys were doing, and I think it's pretty cool. So I'm pretty honored to be part of this.
Oh, yes. No, thank you so much. It's very kind of you to come on. I think it would be helpful just to get a little more insight onto your background. So I know you're in Montreal, you went to school in France, but if you could
Yeah,
just give a little background on, where you grew up, what drew you to school in France, and just some background info would be fantastic.
of course. Sorry, I got to put some lip balm on
You're good. You're
because
good.
whenever I'm about to talk, and trust me, I talk a lot. I have to put some lip balm on. Anyways, so yeah, my name is Alycia. I am half French, half Italian, which means that I'm quite new here in Canada because well, right now I'm a permanent resident, but I've been here for like 5 years. And prior to that, I had like that thing that every French person has to come to Canada, which is like a work holiday permit kind of thing. Like
Okay.
all of these French people come here and do this thing. And I'm no exception. So that's what I did.
Are you
And
regretting it right now with all this snow?
yeah, right. No, but I loved it. I came here. I came here in the summer of 2019, which was prior to the big shabam of like
Yeah.
COVID and whatever.
Yes.
And so I remember coming here in Montreal, and it was like summer, and I met with a friend that I was doing like collabs, like artistic collabs, over the past few years. Like we met on Instagram, and digital artists like me, graphic designers, we tend to collaborate a lot with people around the world because sometimes it's really hard to just like connect with people who do the same things as you do.
Yes.
And especially back in the days, I started doing digital art in 2016, and there wasn't a lot of people doing this at the time. And made this connection with this guy, really fun. And he's like, "Oh, you should come to Montreal." I was like, "Okay, let's go. I'm gonna go to Montreal." At the time, I was living in Paris. Um, Pretty depressing city. Very lots of things to do, but pretty depressing, to be honest.
So
Um,
why do you say Paris is depressing? I haven't been, but I thought of it as like, the most romantic place in the
oh
world. I thought people
man,
loved it.
like I mean, yeah, like I guess if you have someone to share it with, like it's romantic, but like by yourself, like you don't see the romantic things. You see, I mean, it's beautiful. There's so many things to do, the culture, everything. But then like it's just like, first of all, there's a lot of people out on the streets because honestly, it's just like such an expensive city that there's a lot of people out on the street, and they're like everywhere. Like I was like leaving my apartment, then I was living in like the 11th uh what's that, like arrondissement, like those quarter of the cities. Anyways, that's
Yeah.
called the 11th. And everywhere, like I was going for my groceries, and every 200 meters there's like someone like asking for money and stuff, and it was just like really gut wrenching, to be honest.
Yeah.
And you want to help, you want to try and help everyone, but you can't because there's just so many. And I guess like people don't really talk about it, but for me that's something that really struck me when I was there. And then I don't know, it's just like everything is so fast, everyone's so mean. It's like, I don't know. I was like, I'm pretty basic. Like I go out in the street and just like everyone looks at you up and down, whether you're a girl, a man. Like it's just like everyone's like, I don't know, judging kind of. And I was so uncomfortable that I was like, by the end of it, I lived there for like 2 years, and by the end of it, I was barely leaving my apartment. First of all, because I was paying an incredible rent, so might as well take profit of
Yeah,
like
get
the
the
time
most
I
of it.
have at my
Yeah,
house,
yeah,
because it's just like so
yeah.
expensive. And I don't know, I was just like really, really depressed at some point, and I didn't really notice it until I came to Montreal, and it was like, Oh, it's so nice to be around here. Like people are nice and like you can walk in the streets and not get harassed by stupid men and just like wow, this sounds fun. Like is it always like that? And everyone's like, yeah, pretty much. I was like, okay, well that's more my vibe, that's more my pace. So I I did this thing where essentially you get into a lottery and then you wait for the government to pick up your name and tell you like, oh, you can go here for like 2 years and like do whatever you want. So I was waiting for that, and in January I got it, and um I was supposed to come back by, I don't know, maybe like May or something. But then I had a trip already planned prior to that, and it was on March 16, 2020. And it was the day the borders closed, and I was in the plane,
Yeah.
and I never went back to my apartment in Paris because I
You
So
just
just
it's
left
because I
all your
never
stuff
could.
there.
So my family just like they went from the south of France, they went to my apartment in Paris, emptied it out, shipped it through air, I think. So my stuff like took like months to go to get to Montreal, and it's just like, yep, I never went back, and I didn't know because like when I was on the plane, I didn't know I wouldn't go back to Paris, and in fact, I've never been back there in five
oh wow.
years.
So did you grow up in Paris or did you move when you were a bit older? But you grew up
Not
in
at all.
France, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm from the south of France. I'm
Okay.
from La Côte d'Azur. I don't know if you know
I do
this
not. I
place.
think I only know Cannes. I don't even know how to
You
say
know
it. That's the only
Cannes, you
thing.
know the
Yeah.
festival. Well, I'm from
Yes.
Nice, and
Okay. I do
Nice
know
is
Nice.
just
Yeah.
like right next to Cannes. And I grew up in the sun, hate when it's warm, love the cold.
You must
So
love.
it's
Yeah.
just like I
You
no, but
love
like
Canada.
when you grew out, you grow up by the beach, and you're just like, ugh, the beach. And I was always on the beach, always has to be at the beach. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
you came to the right country then.
no, I know. I'm so happy. It was just like, oh, nice. No sun, no anything, no skin cancer. We're good. It's fine. My
Okay. So,
my
oh,
dad
good.
my dad is French. All my dad's family is French, and all my mom's family is Italian. We're from the north of Italy, so Torino,
Okay.
and I grew up in between those two cities, going back and forth, and it's been quite interesting. I guess I've always, because of that, I've always been really just pretty fluid with languages in general. I can learn a language pretty quickly. Right now, I'm learning Japanese. It's been 2 years. Anyways, see, it's just like when you and I've been moving here and there. I left my parents' house pretty early at like 18, just like lots of my friends at school, and I pursued my graphic design career. I got 3 degrees in graphic design and a master's degree, and I wrote a thesis, and all of those things I never thought I would do. I did them, and now I don't do any of them because I'm a digital artist now, and like everyone just wants my art. So interesting.
So you went to school for graphic design, and was that all in France as well?
Yes,
Yes.
all in France. I don't know how it works here. I think it's pretty similar to like Canadian people because all of my friends here have been doing graphic design as well. They've been like to UCAM, in the graphic design section and everything. And I think that I've compared what they've been doing, and I think it kind of resonates with what we've been taught in France. But I guess my studies in graphic design were a little more little longer than like the
Yeah.
Canadian process because like I think I've studied for like 7 to 8 years in graphic design. So that's quite a long time. Um, but yeah, all in French. Um, no one ever speaks really English in France. If you know, you know. Like if you know how to speak in English, then you're a joke for everyone because everyone's like, oh, what are you doing with your American accent? And I'm just like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just like trying to speak the language, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a shame to be talking in English when you're French.
That's funny. So you finished your school, and then were you working in France before you came to Canada, or did you go to Canada like right when you were done school? What was that
No,
timeline?
that's a good question. So I finished my master's degree in graphic design, and I was already at the time having client work here and there because I was already on social media. As I said earlier, I was there like back in 2016, and I already started my account, and I was like starting to share some of those images that I did, and it started to pick up, and like people here and there would come and ask me if I could do like a music cover for them or whatever. And I was also selling stuff on platforms like Society6, like Redbubble, like doing a little bit of merch because my art is like very abstract, so you can put it on pretty much everything. It's pretty easy to just translate onto different mediums. So I was doing that, and so when I graduated from my master's degree, I just I just thought like, oh, I'm just gonna be an auto entrepreneur, right? I would be just like working by myself for myself and try to give it a shot.
Yeah.
So that's when I moved to Paris because I was like, oh, maybe it's going to be more useful if I'm like in a capital of France
Hmm.
and just like maybe, opportunities like network, whatever. And I did have like great opportunities, I guess. I don't know if it's because like when you have like Paris in your SEO on Google or something, like you have like better reach. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I did have like great projects the first 2 years that I started, and it was like very encouraging. But I was working non fucking stop. It was like crazy. I was like in my apartment by myself, just you don't have anything else to do. Like you could just go on your computer and just like create stuff and keep working and try to make people see your stuff. Like you just want them to see your stuff so that maybe you can have some work to do and get to pay the bills. So that's what I did.
So
Okay.
why did you decide to take a master's? Is that more just how people do it in Europe? Over here, that would be definitely more uncommon. I'm just
Mm,
curious, would you do it again? Did you see value in the education aspect of it if you were doing it over again, or would you just say it's not particularly useful for your current line of work?
Good question. I think it is because I actually am. I think it's more useful now because like I've been like, for example, a writing and registering a course, an online course. It's going to be my first online course, and I'm doing this course on color theory, psychology. It's a blend of everything, and those topics are like topics that I've been actively working on during my master's degree, and that I've put into work on in my thesis that I did at that time. And I think it was very useful because I the first years of your graphic design studies, you just learn about the softwares. You learn how to convey messages visually. You learn how to really narrow down your creative process to make things cohesive for clients and stuff. And it's very hands on. But I'm not a very rational person. I'm a very emotional person, and I love digging into things, and I love understanding the deeper meanings of things. And that's why when you do a master's degree, I think you are allowed to think about what's your role as a designer. Would you like what how do you see your career as a graphic designer? What would you like to convey? On what kind of projects would you like to work? And what is your aim? And what can you bring up to the table that someone doesn't have already? And so that's why I basically like laid out all of my projects before starting the master's design, and we looked at all of my projects, and like we could see some things that were emanating from the things that I already created. You could see that I was like using lots of abstract languages and systems in my graphic design works. You can see that I was covering certain topics that were either like counter-cultural or either very emotional and subjective and close to psychology and all the things that were like dear to my heart as a person that I'm really interested in. And I think that's what the master's degree really taught us. And by us, I mean myself as well, because it was like a good playground for us to see like what path are we going to take in this career if we are to pursue it. And that alone really helped me to just carry on with my art on the side as well, because my art was part um, of my discipline and my routine as a graphic designer as well. And everything was like kind of intertwined. And I really wanted to create and design stuff for people that are not only functional, but that are more than that, that can just convey emotions or make people feel different things, feel things that are hidden usually. And I guess that's why I'm doing digital art now. It's because design is supposed to be very rational. It's supposed to serve a function, and that's when building and merging the two together, art and design, which are pretty much related, to be honest. There's a lot in common, but when you merge all of these things together, you really get a sense of what more can you get from these practices. And that's why I just like advocate for like graphic designers to be just like less in the rational and just like explore and feel things a little differently than what we've been taught. So I would do it all over again. Yes.
That you bring up a really interesting point, and something I've been wondering, because I've noticed it quite a bit, is there's a very distinct difference between artists out of Europe, especially places like France, and artists in North America.
Mm.
And I'm wondering why you think that might be, and if you think that the focus on the rational side of things, of functional, more capitalist, I guess, of like this has to serve a particular function and make a business money, and the design focuses on that. Just because I notice a lot of the work that comes out of French artists in particular is just, it's got something to it that's very, it's like a different level, but it's hard to describe. And I'm just curious if you'd agree with that, or why you think might cause that.
That's a very nice observation from you. And now that you mention it, I think there is, in fact, some differences, because obviously we're not from the same part of the world. And with your environment comes a lot of things that are going to be incorporated in your work, whether you want it or not. Because first of all, your environment is also tied to your upbringing and the way people are born and the way they grow up in different countries. Like first of all, that really makes a difference, and that really shapes the way we see and apprehend the things around us and the function of things, I guess. Because in some, in Europe, a lot of people are kind of like okay with the fact that art is like creative fields are a necessity and a good path as a career. Right now, it's starting to get a little bit more democratized, I guess, because we have a deep history of, a deep cultural history, a deep art history, and just like traditions and all those things, I guess, that with all those countries like that are next to each other, I guess everything flows from a country to another. And so in a way, I want to believe that it makes us more open-minded to others, like this proximity and the fact, and when when you're near to someone else, to another country, and when you're more open-minded, then I guess the way you see life is like different, and you can allow yourself to just um, be more in this reflection, be more into thinking, be more into what could I do better, how can I do it better? Just allowing yourself to see the deeper meanings of things. But again, I'm not born and raised in America or North America for the fact. And so I don't know what it is to be born there, and how you get and how you grow in this context and economy and geography. I don't know. There's lots of states in America. There's like all this proximity as well, but it's more of a unified kind of country. And from and the differences between each state, is, I guess, less marked than when you are in Europe and there's like different countries and all the architecture is different from one country to another and the dialects are different. It's just like, I think it's just a way of being more, what's the word? I guess it's like poly. I don't want to say a word that's like not like polyamorous. No, not polyamorous, but poly
Yes,
something,
probably something. Yeah.
polygeographical. And I think that has a lot on influence on the way we approach design, because you've seen, if you're a little familiar with graphic design and all the movements in design, there's a lot of things that come from like Eastern Europe, and like the Bauhaus movements that really radicalized the function of design and the way we apprehend design in a very minimalistic way. And all of that is very it's a milestone in design. Like all of this like comes from Europe in general. So I don't want to I don't want to be like, yeah, we slay like Europeans. Yeah, so great. Because we don't, like, in fact, we are very, very bad people and we do very bad things as well. But I guess that maybe that would be a justification. Do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the art comes from all the bad things. I don't know, but um,
Sorry,
yes.
sorry.
There's a silver lining to every
No,
cloud.
no. Art comes from pain, so it's good. But so it sounds like you finished your master's and then you moved to Paris and you were an
I did.
independent, like right from the start. Were you ever thinking about just like working in house at an advertising agency or at a company, or did you always know you wanted to just like work for yourself and go that route?
I did. I did thought at one point when I was starting, I thought, maybe I should look for an agency job or something.
Yeah.
But the things that I wanted to do in design per se were very specific. I wanted to work in editorial design. I wanted to design very specific books that have a very specific way of being designed in the way that they are built, and like almost like unrational books, like narratives, like almost like books as have this specificity about them that like you can, for example, read some of them from the end to the beginning, and and some of them they're not like one entity, and you have like uh multiple papers that make the book, but they're not like binded together. It's all about the form of the book, and I was really interested about like how to form and build and create weird books, I guess. And that's not a job, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
At least it's not a corporate job. So I was like, okay, I'm never gonna get that into an agency. So then I was like, maybe I should go and work in an agency that's like more branding, like people that do like those beautiful brandings for logos and like packaging and stuff. I really love packaging. In fact, I'm a print designer at core. So all I want to do is like design stuff that are tangible. But then I was like, I don't know, because like I don't have like enough experience sometimes to apply. At the time, I didn't have like lots of experience. And also because I'm just like, I'm just good working by myself. Like, I just like, it's weird because like working in groups of people is very challenging for me. Not because I want to be above everyone else. In fact, it's because I'm trying not to be above everyone else. And I'm just like so mindful of everyone, and I just want to make sure that I don't overstep anyone's boundaries and everything, that I just get so over conscious, and then I just forget everything about myself and what I want for the project and everything, and I just completely people please.
Yeah.
And it's not good because it gives me a lot of anxiety. So I was like, at least if I fuck up and I'm by myself, no one's going to take the blame for me. I'm going to take the blame for myself. I'm going to, like, I don't know, like, throw my head in the wall. It's fine. It's going to be all because of me, and no one's going to suffer from that. And yeah, I guess I have like social anxiety anyways. So there's that.
No. I definitely know what you're saying, where it's like when there's other people and you're working together, then if you fuck up yourself, then like you get extra stressed because you're like, oh no, this impacted like
It's
the other
too
people I'm working with
stressful.
too. Whereas it's just yourself, you don't worry as much about it.
And you work with numbers, like
Yes, but I'm not too worried about if I mess.
uh,
It's all right, but yes, I
how?
think I just got like desensitized. I don't know, but I definitely know what you're talking about.
Oh
Where
my
it's like,
god.
yeah, then you start to lose, like you start to second guess yourself as you're going, and then you just kind of lose like that authentic.
You ever get in arguments with like people that work with you?
Um, yes, but I definitely know what you're talking about, the people pleasing. Like I find,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like pretty quick to like go to their point of view, if that makes sense.
I wish I had more people like you in my group projects in university, because this is the exact opposite of
I
every group I
know.
was in. I just ended up having to, people just had no shame.
I know. University is the worst. Like when you're in school, like people just be like, I'm the best. This is my idea. We're following my
Yeah.
idea, because like everyone's trying to upstep everyone else and be like, yeah, I'm the best. Like, and I was like, okay, well, and mind you, I was like first of my class all the time, and not a flex, because like when you're first of your class for like 7 years straight, everyone fucking hates your guts, like everyone. And so everyone kind of want to works with you, but then they're like, no, she's like too good, and like she's gonna be annoying and whatnot. And I was like, okay, great. So yeah, fuck school. School really fucking sucks sometimes. Can we
Yeah.
swear? Can I swear?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yes. 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 Okay. So that makes sense. So, but was that, so I understand the motivations for wanting to work on your own, but was that like a big hurdle for you? Like, are you a risk averse person that like, not having a steady paycheck stressed you out? Or were you just like, you had conviction? You're like, I so don't want to work with other people. Like, I'm just going to make this work. What was like your headspace?
No, dude, it's just like it's been like 8 years I've been doing this job, and even this year I'm just like, I'm I'm out of here. I'm gonna get a part-time job. I can't fucking pay my bills. It's just like it's a mess. Like you never know when you're gonna get paid.
Yeah.
Never. In fact, right now, I haven't had any projects so far in the year. Well, it's February 17th, so let's hope so. But it's just like every year, like I have like one project that barely keeps me going. I'm just like, okay, it's like big projects sometimes, so the paycheck is like enough to pay my year, but then like the frequency of like work is not consistent, right?
Yeah.
And that is the most that's the scariest thing I've ever experienced. And everyone's like, well, that's on you that you chose that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was your choice. And I was like, yeah, but no, but that was not what I chose. It's just like, so when I started, I was kind of like budgeting still. So I was like very conscious of like what I was doing, and I was like saving up money. And with the sales that I was doing on Society 6 and Redbubble, those kind of sites, I
Yeah.
was able to pay my rent with that and get a little extra. And at the time, these two platforms were really, really out there, and they were doing really well. And so I was like, I think one of the top artists on the platform. So that meant that I had good revenue from that. And mind you, you don't get like paid the price of the items you sell. You get paid a percentage of the items you sell. So that meant that they made a lot of money from me. And I did make a lot, and I did make money from that as well. But yeah, there was like a thing at a time. And then sometimes I would see my revenue go down, with these websites, and I would be like, okay, I need to compensate and try to do things. So I started doing couple of like products, like merch here and there by myself that I would sell on my own website, and then I had like projects on the side. So I was able to kind of like make a consistent budget. Then when I moved, obviously everything went to shit because like it was like the pandemic, and like
Yeah.
it was like, of course, like no one has like budget for that, and like no one wants to pay for creatives to do anything. And then during the pandemic, I started doing NFTs with lots of my friends because that started picking up, and it was kind of like a weird experience, not gonna lie. But it was great for the fact that I was able to just like make money just by doing art and not just like try to hustle to sell like two prints, just like, or try to put some work out there in the hopes that like maybe a client is going to see my work and maybe it's going to fit with what they have in mind, and maybe the time and the budget is going to align and whatever. So very annoying. So that was a great phase, for like finances. It was great, really
Yeah.
great. And then I stopped because I'm just like, I'm out of here. Like, it's just, I can't do that. It's just like the people, the everything, the mentality, the everything is just like so hard. And that's why even nowadays, it is hard to budget and to have like a sustainable lifestyle, because in fact, I don't have like a very sustainable income. So that means I have a very expensive rent here in Montreal. I pay $2,000 for my rent. There's like two bedrooms. It's just like just like pretty. It's a nice apartment, but like my wall's right there. Like I can touch my wall.
Yes.
Like I
Yeah.
have this space for my desk. We're sharing a room for the both of our desks with my partner, and that's it. I don't have a studio. I just do everything here. Um, I don't have a car. I don't have anything. So, and I don't know what people think I have based on what they see from me, but I'm not rich. Like they think like, oh, because you have like that amount of followers and everything, that you must be like very on top of things. And I'm not. Like I'm a baby. Just like want to make that clear.
Yes. Yeah. No, okay. I mean, I think that's probably like you said. I think when you see someone who has as many followers, you just assume it's like coming in easy, but it's I guess that's just part of the journey, that like it's never gonna be
No, it's not.
predictable. Yes. So I guess the question I had, so you obviously went to Montreal after a few years of working as an independent creator. So when did you create your company? And I apologize if I'm saying it incorrectly. Maalavida? Is that
Yeah,
the best way to say it?
Maalavida.
Maalavida.
Yeah.
So when did you create Maalavida?
Well, unofficially, the name came from my Instagram, so that was into 2016. But then I deposited the name of the company right now in Canada, and deposited the brand as well. And I think that was in 2021. Because prior to that, I was working under my name, so Alycia Rainaud, as a auto entrepreneur, because that's what I did here. You can do either auto entrepreneur, or you can incorporate your company, right? So that's what I did.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know anything. Like it's really hard when you come from a country and like the rules are different, and then like you go to another country and then you have to do this and that for your company. Like it's a little bit confusing. So I did incorporate, and in 2021, my company now is called Studio Maalavida Inc. And at the same time, I deposited the brand Maalavida. So now we're trademarked in Canada and the USA, I guess. Yeah, that's the main thing. And that's a
And
big step.
where did the name come from?
Oh boy. It's just like I have like the worst stories. Like everyone's feel like so deep, so interesting. No, it's just like no. I needed, so when you do your Instagram, you have to have a name, and I didn't want to put my name because I don't feel like, one thing with me is that I dissociate a lot. So I don't want my name to be associated with anything that I do, because I'm just like, yeah, that's not me. It's just like, no, someone, whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's give her a name. So my friend was like, that was in school back then, and my friend was like, oh, maybe you should call it like something that's like very depressing, just like your personality. And it was like, yeah, good idea, because I'm very open about that. I'm chronically depressed. I have anxiety and I have OCD as well, so that's part of the persona, right? And he was like, maybe you should say like something like "J'ai mal à la vie," which in French means my life hurts, right? And I was like, yeah, but it's a very long name for an Instagram handle, isn't it? So I was like, maybe let's shorten it. So I was like, j'ai mal à la vie, Maalavidaa, Maalavidaa. And then cultural appropriation did the rest. Sorry.
Okay, so basically the origins of it are "My life hurts."
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Well, I never would have pieced that together.
It's very interesting when like you do like very corporate projects and like they do an interview for the project and everyone's like, so where does the name come from? And you'll be like, well, I'm very depressed and my life fucking sucks, so that's the name. And everyone's like, okay, that sounds great. Nice.
That's so funny. That is very funny.
So I noticed you did have, sorry if the name's wrong, but like an emotional support club. Your course is kind of based on color therapy. Um, I saw you had mentioned, I think somewhere like ties to like Jungian therapy, which I'm guessing is like related to abstract art. And like,
Yeah.
I'm just curious because it seems like you've been doing that, I think on your site, it said since 2016. So obviously it's important to you. I'm just curious, what does that involve? What went into the process of why you started that community? Is it still going? Anything about that would be really cool to hear.
Well, yeah, it's still going. I guess it is hard to maintain a community, to be honest. Like community building is one of my worst nightmare, because not because I don't like people, it's just because it's a lot of energy, a lot of mental strain to just make sure to be a good community leader, to be there for people, to understand what they are kind of like expecting from you, I guess, what they're looking for when they see your art, and to just like meet them, there. And we're still going. So I have in fact Healed the Deal, which is my emotional support club on Discord. So here we talk about anything that's like related to whatever you want to talk about, mental health, culture, whatever. It's just a lounge basically for everyone to be there. And we have had like great discussion. I think it's been like 4 years, and it's like my little safe space. I always go there, and every week I just be like, oh, so what's up? And we share what has been going on. We have lots of resources as well for mental health resources, that is, so charities, hotlines, tools that you can use, if you're like going through certain emotions or crises or anything. That's something I would have loved to have basically when I was like a teenager, like um I do the way I think about this community and about creating a community is about having the things that I wish I had, and that I wish all of my friends who were suffering and who are still suffering have and had in the past, because it's really isolating to be a person in this era, in this time, especially in the digital era, especially with everything that's going on in the world. It's just so lonely. And you could be with someone, you could live with a partner, you could live with your family, you could be with anything, anywhere, anyone, and you will still feel alone. And I guess what I'm trying to do is just like encourage people to be open about it, and be more openly vulnerable, because vulnerability is a thing that I think we should all cultivate. And I'm guilty for not cultivating enough, because I have this image and persona that I have to carry on that sometimes prevents me from being openly vulnerable, let's say on socials or like interviews, whatever. And that's why I always think about us, you know. I do think about what I want and what I want to create, and what are my needs and desires. But I always think about the bigger pictures, because what I do is not just for me now, it's for a lot of people that are following me. And so I think about what I can do for them. What can I do better? And how can I do it better? And that's why I'm doing the course as well now, because like lots of people, you know, have this will to learn and don't have um the finances, the ability to go to school, to go to art school, do all these kinds of things. It's not something very accessible, to be honest. Just like mental health is not accessible. So it's all about giving access to things that are necessary, in my opinion, uh, at my own level. So doing the community support center is about like giving a little mental support for those who cannot afford to go through therapy, for example. The course is here for those who want to learn and cannot afford to be learning, or also, you know, are shy to go to school. Like there's lots of reasons why you wouldn't be comfortable like learning and going through a certain study path. It's a long, long time. Sometimes you just want to learn things for fun. And with what I do in general within my projects, I just want to make sure that, you know, I'm here and creating on a constant basis. So that would be like a couple of times a week. I share my work and I'm talk about it with people, and they tell me what they're feeling. Sometimes they write me very beautiful, heartfelt note about things that are very personal and how my work has helped them and how it's helping them. And that's all it takes for me to carry on, despite the fact that I can't pay my bills sometimes. Then I'm just gonna do it because it's just about us, not just me.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So, you know, you're talking about you build these communities to help other people, but how would you say like you creating and putting art out like helps yourself with like your is that a big role in like your mental health, like putting things out?
It is. It has always been. I didn't know that. I didn't even know it when I started doing it. It's my therapist at the time who told me about that. And he was in fact a Jungian therapist. So for those in the podcast who are not like familiar with what Jung is, well, he is a guy. He's a great guy. He's dead, alas. But he was a psychologist. His name is Carl Jung, and he was like Freud bestie essentially, but they did like very different things, and the way they think about the human mind and emotions are very different. And he was all about um, prioritizing creativity and introspection in the therapy process. And that's why with my therapist at the time, we used to do a lot of creative exercises during the sessions. One of them, like one of the most famous ones, is sand play. So you have a sand, um, some sand displayed on the table, and you can just like draw things in there, put some figures in there as well. So you would pick figures on the shelves and put them here, and just like try to make a scene of like what your emotions would look like. And I at one point I remember I showed her what I was doing for my graphic design work and the images I was creating, because intellectual property is a big thing, right? So they teach you, thank God, they teach you that you cannot use like any images online. So most of the time we had to create our own images. And I don't like very figurative things. Like I think it's just too literal for me and just too simple. I love like a good like abstract image that makes me think and just like see things my own way. So I used to do that a lot. And then I showed them to my therapist and she was like, "That's great. What are you doing with that?" I was like, "Nothing." Like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "Why don't you just like do like have you tried like putting them out of the layout, like the graphic design layout context, and just like use them like that?" And I was like, "No, for what?" And she was like, "Well, it's just like for you." And I was like, "Okay, I guess." Um, so I started doing that, and then she was like, "You should share that with people." So she encouraged me to share that with people. mind you, she was not a very young lady, this lady, but she knew that you could actually post things on social media and just like get
Yeah.
traction from that. I was like, she's so clever, these people. And so yeah, I guess like really she's the one who like helped me do that, because she saw that it really helped me tremendously to just like get into some sort of like meditative space when
Yeah.
you create in general. I don't know, maybe you've noticed that when you do like DIYs, like have you ever, like when you're painting your walls or just like DIYing
Yes.
like a dress or whatever,
Yeah.
you just get like so hyper focused and you're just like, relaxed. It's fine. You know?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah. No.
meditative that's a
Yeah.
meditative state through creation and eventually through art therapy if you want to go deeper into the rabbit hole. But it's just so great. Creating is just makes a whole lot of a difference for you. And sometimes we don't even notice it because like we don't have time to create and just like, oh, maybe I should do something else instead of like
Yeah.
wasting 2 days on a Canva or like my whole night on the computer and going to bed at 3 a.m. But then like when you're doing it, you really can feel it actively, just like relaxing you, making you feel more grounded, just like present in the moment, which is something so fucking difficult to do.
Yeah.
And that's why like I do that. That's why art is so beneficial for me and for others as well.
Yeah.
So you've got a really distinctive art style, which is interesting because you do so much abstract work.
I do.
Is this how did you stay or develop that style when you're exploring this for, I'm guessing, for other purposes, and then you sort of stumble into this like you're discovering it? But how do you find it frustrating to have to stick to sort of a specific type of style that you've become known for, and how did you develop it? How did that work?
Mm, sometimes I do, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Like sometimes I wish I could do something else and I would be like, maybe I should just create another persona. I just create another Instagram account and just start posting different stuff there and no one will know. But then I'd be like, I don't know. My work is my baby in the sense that what I'm doing is not it's not hard to do. It's not like technically, I mean, it's not hard. Everyone can do it to a certain degree. In fact, like there's lots of people copying my work. I have lots of copycats all the way through the internet. People that try to talk like me, do the same things as me, have the same messages as me, and just like like same uh, editorial line, I guess. And that's fine because like I don't really care now, but sometimes it is frustrating to just be doing the same thing over and over again. And I get this question a lot because like people that I've been following me for like years now, I'll be like, so you're not tired? You still doing that? I'd be like, yeah, that's me. I have OCD. I'm just gonna hyperfixate on something and do it for the rest of my fucking life because I just can't stop doing it. So in it's a when it's such a habit to do something, it becomes like some sort of it becomes your routine, and it's like a safe space for you. It's something that makes you feel safe to do the same thing over and over again. And eventually I noticed that as an interesting pattern, but also something that could be a little detrimental for me because I don't want to be overly secure in what I do. So sometimes I try to do things a little differently, whether it's with like a client, a client project. I'll be like, maybe we should do something a little more like that, and I try to like see things in a different angle when I do that. But it's been I've been having this deep desire ever since the beginning to have my signature aesthetics and just be known for doing this kind of thing and having like building my identity from the ground up. And so it's hard to let that go, it's just like, it's just hard. But then sometimes I feel like my style hasn't evolved. But when I go back on my Instagram and I scroll all the way down to the bottom, like it is so different. Like I feel like, oh my God, like I feel ashamed sometimes when I go back there down there. It's just like I don't want to see it. And in fact, lots of things that I was doing at the beginning were black and white. And now I'm just like known for like my use of color, right? And it's crazy to me that I've come from this far in my practice doing the same thing over and over again, but now I can do things that are so much more intricate than before. Like there's always something new to learn, even if you're doing the same thing over and over again. That would be like so, I don't know, like delusional to say that, oh, you're never going to learn anything new from doing the same thing because
Yeah.
you're always new. You're always someone new anyways.
Yeah. So you've got products on your website that you sell. You've worked with a
I
lot
do.
of big clients. But if you were to look like 10 years down the road, like what would be kind of like the ideal path that you're hoping to take? Would it be selling more like of your own products? Would it be doing more client work? Is it both? Do you have like a vision of like what a 10 out of 10 success would be down the road?
Hard, man, so hard. Right in the feels, because like that's a very big subject for me right now at the moment. Ever since the beginning of the year, I'd be like having these discussions with my partner and be like, so what are your dreams? And what do you dream
Yeah.
about? I was like, I don't dream about anything, bro. I just dream about making it to tomorrow. Like it's just like, and
Yeah.
in fact, I don't allow myself to dream about things at all. And I've noticed that. And now that I've identified that, I've been thinking about it and be like, what do you want to do? What does your younger self, like from 7 years ago, wanted to do? And I think about doing more, uh, getting more recognition with like clientele in general would be great for me, because I really want to show the world that the versatility of my work, you know, and how it can be applied to so many different areas of life, which is something that is probably hard for people to envision right now, which I can totally understand. So that would be a big, 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 big wish for me. But then, other than that, I guess there's always so many products I have in mind. In fact, I have many that are on the backlog, to be honest, because I don't have the funds. And you know, like creating products like it needs like funding, right? So I have like, for example, worked on this mood lamp that I'm working on, and this needs like, for example, I guess like $30,000 of funding to just like do the mold for the lamp. And where do you get that money from? Like
Yeah.
trees? No. So I have lots and lots of projects and ideas, but I'm very limited in the things that I can do. So my goal is to just be able to find new ways to create and I guess like make things born out of my consciousness, but it's with limited mediums and fundings. So that's why I'm doing the course right now. And I think I'm trying to position myself more as an advocate, as an educator, and share my vision with people, and perhaps in the future actually like interact with people in real life. So, you know, having like seminars, um, hands-on activities, all those kind of things that I really want to do and that I wish I could be doing, but I don't have the confidence to do because I'm just like imposter syndrome. I'd be like, nah, I don't have the skills to do that. No one wants to listen to me. Like, it's just annoying.
Yeah.
French accent, you know. So I need to man up, which a term that I hate, but I need to man up and be like, okay, I can do this. I am qualified to do this. I've proved my fair share of skills, and now it's about like trusting myself. But on the side note, I also want to become a private trainer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nothing to do with art, but I want to become a private trainer as well because I love the gym.
Oh yeah.
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 So
Okay.
there's
So you got the art side and the fitness side. I love it.
yeah,
Yes.
you have to have like you have to have a side passion. You cannot work your passion. If your passion is your work, you cannot not have another passion to the side. You're going to burn out and you're going to cry like a baby. It's going to be so hard. You have to have another passion that's not your work. And I've learned that. And that's why I have the gym and I do like lots of things. I do like powerlifting, CrossFit, all these kinds of things. and it is my sanctuary. And it's just like so great. And if you don't have that, it's all about always trying to pursue a passion, see what passionates you. Because when you don't live with passion, you don't live at all. Like when I was younger, I didn't have any passion before I, learned about graphic design, art, and stuff like that. And it was a complete mess. I was extremely addicted to drugs. I was completely lost, just like always very um just so depressed in general. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to wake up the next day. And that's what passion does for you. It gives you a reason to live, essentially, at least for me. And everyone should have that. It's just the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. Well, I see we're at 2 minutes, so I think
Sorry. I talk a lot. I told you.
No. That's amazing. I think that's a great way to end it. That's find your passion. I think what you're talking about, like imposter syndrome and things like that, like that's kind of what we wanted to create this for. Because I think everyone feels that way, but I think the world will be a lot cooler if people, take that leap to start putting stuff out there. So,
Where can people follow you?
So just follow me on Instagram. Just follow me on Instagram. It's Maalavidaa, and I have all of my links in my link in bio as well if you want to join the Discord, and if you want to get updates about my courses or anything that I do. I'm also on Substack now, and I have yet to write my first article, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully I can make it. That's it.
I think you have a shop too where people can buy some goods.
I do have a shop. If you want to support my work, you can grab wallpaper packs. They're like $5, it's just a significant amount, and you get like 50 of them. And I have plenty of things. I have a puffer jacket, I have prints, I have makeup, I have like all sorts of things, all colorful, all things to put some joy into your daily life if you feel like it.
Yes, and for the listeners, the puffer jacket is very cool. So
thank you.
Checking it out. Yes. But yes, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on. It was fantastic to chat with you. So it was so great.
Thank you, guys. You really are nice people, and it was wholesome. And I wish you all the best in your next podcast.